Welcome everyone to our 5th Carols on Campus in our 140th anniversary year. A special mention to those watching online, in Adelaide and right around the world. Firstly, I would like to acknowledge the Kaurna people, the original custodians on the land on which our South Australian campuses are built. And a thank you to the once and Royal David City soloist Charlie Kelso, a third-year music arts student with a stunning voice and a huge future ahead of her as a performer. Thank you also to our resident Carols on Campus organist Carl Geiger, sitting upstairs. A graduate and current staff member too. Carols on Campus has already become a much anticipated part of the festive season at the University of Adelaide, our state's sandstone university, and the 3rd oldest in the country. Our Carols on Campus service is inspired by the Christmas traditions of other universities around the globe, including King's College at Cambridge, but with a unique Adelaide feel, and a wonderful blend of secular and sacred, reflecting the diversity of our own university community. So I now invite Deputy Chancellor Diane Davidson to give the traditional Carols on Campus first reading.
"'Twas the night before Christmas, when all through the house not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse. The stockings were hung by the chimney with care, in hopes that St. Nicholas soon would be there. The children were nestled all snug in their beds, while visions of sugar plums danced in their heads. And Mamma in her kerchief, and I in my cap, had just settled our brains for a long winter's nap. When out on the lawn there arose such a clatter, I sprang from the bed to see what was the matter, and away to the window I flew like a flash, tore open the shutters and threw up the sash. Now Dasher, now Dancer, now Prancer and Vixen, on Comet, on Cupid, on Donner and Blitzen, to the top of the porch, to the top of the wall. Now dash away, dash away, dash away all. And then, in a twinkling, I heard on the roof the prancing and pawing of each little hoof. And as I drew in my head and was turning around, down the chimney St. Nicholas came with a bound. He was chubby and plump and a right jolly old elf, and I laughed when I saw him, in spite of myself. A wink of his eye and a twist of his head soon gave me to know that I had nothing to dread. He sprang to his sleigh, to his team gave a whistle, and away they all flew like the down on a thistle. But I heard him exclaim, ere he drove out of sight, "Happy Christmas to all, and to all a good night."
Thank you, Di. Would you please all stand for "O Come All You Faithful"?
Hello. I'll be reading White Wine in the Sun, the lyrics from a song by Tim Minchin. I really like Christmas. It's sentimental, I know, but I just really like it. I'm hardly religious. I'd rather break bread with Dawkins than Desmond Tutu, to be honest. And yes, I have all of the usual objections to consumerism, the commercialisation of an ancient religion, and the westernisation of a dead Palestinian press-ganged into selling PlayStations and beer. But I still really like it. I'm looking forward to Christmas, though I'm not expecting a visit from Jesus. I'll be seeing my dad, my brother and sisters, my gran and my mum. They'll be drinking white wine in the sun. I don't go for ancient wisdom. I don't believe just because ideas are tenacious, it means that they're worthy. I get freaked out by churches. Some of the hymns that they sing have nice chords, but the lyrics are dodgy. I'm not expecting big presents. The old combination of socks, jocks and chocolates is just fine by me. Because I'll be seeing my dad, my brother and sisters, my gran and my mum. They'll be drinking white wine in the sun. And you, my baby girl, my jet-lagged infant daughter, you'll be handed round the room like a puppy out of primary school. And you won't understand, but you will learn someday that wherever you are and whatever you face, these are the people who will make you feel safe in this world, my sweet blue-eyed girl. And if, my baby girl, when you're 21 or 31 and Christmas comes around and you find yourself 9,000 miles from home, you'll know whatever comes. Your brothers and sisters and me and your mum will be waiting for you in the sun. Your brothers and sisters, your aunts and your uncles, your grandparents, cousins, and me and your mum will be waiting for you in the sun, drinking white wine in the sun. Thank you.
Feel free to clap, it's fine. So, thank you, Tony, for that moving piece, which many of us know as White Wine in the Sun, written by well-known Australian performer Tim Minchin. Tony is the university's chief financial officer, and I'm sure he has a very, very long wish list for Santa waiting on his desk on behalf of our researchers and academic staff. So now, will you please all stand and sing at the top of your voices while shepherds watch their flocks by night.
Oh,
That was a lovely sound, thank you. I would now like to welcome a new face to carols, Joanne Barker, who is head of our international office. Around 7,000, or a third of our students, come from overseas at the University of Adelaide, representing over 90 countries. And as a global university, we also have staff members from every continent too. Tonight our thoughts are very much with those who may be far from home or celebrating the festive season in different parts of the world. After Joanne's reading, the Elder Conservatorium Chorale, under the baton of Associate Professor Carl Crossan, OAM, will perform the traditional 17th century French carol, Quelle est cette odeur agréable, meaning from whence does that beautiful fragrance come? But for now, I invite Joanne to come forward.
Christmas in the East. In China, Christmas is referred to as Shendang-jie, or the Holy Birth Festival. There are trees called trees of light and paper lanterns intermingled with holly for decoration. Stockings are hung, and there is a version of Santa Claus known as Shengdang La Ren, or Christmas Old Man. Gift giving has some formal rules. Jewellery and other more valuable gifts are given to the immediate family, while smaller gifts are given to relatives and friends. More important than Christmas to the majority of Chinese is the Lunar New Year, referred to as Chunjie, or the Spring Festival, which is celebrated later. Red packets, new toys and clothes are exchanged, and feasts are held throughout the country and around the world. In Syria, Christians celebrate Christmas longer than in most Middle Eastern countries. On Epiphany, children receive gifts from the camel of Jesus. Tradition holds that the smallest of the wise men's camels was so exhausted from the long journey that it fell next to Jesus' manger. There, the Christ child blessed the little camel, and it became known as the bearer of gifts at Christmas. The children leave shoes filled with hay on their doorsteps, ready for the camel's arrival. In India, the Christmas trees are either banana or mango trees. Small oil-burning lamps serve as decorations. Many churches are made festive with the addition of bright red poinsettias, with the custom in southern India to set out small clay lamps on the flat rooftops of the houses or in niches on the walls. On this special night, when we celebrate the essence of what the festive season means, we send best wishes to all of our international students and staff here tonight and to those watching online.
Thank you, Carl. Thank you, choristers. And ladies and gentlemen, I wonder if we could again just thank the magnificent Elder Conservatorium Chorale. Our next reading captures the festive season through the eyes of one of modern history's most influential figures, the 35th President of the United States, John F. Kennedy, and what would be his last Christmas message to Americans. In 1962, the world had been on the brink of nuclear war during the Cuban Missile Crisis, when Soviet leader Nikita Khrushchev agreed to withdraw the missiles in return for an American pledge not to invade Cuba. Half a century ago, it was a time of fear, but also of hope. And it's my pleasure now to welcome David Morfesi to come forward.
President John Fitzgerald Kennedy's Christmas message, dated 17th December 1962. This morning, I had a meeting in the White House, which included some of our representatives in the distant lands of Asia. They were returning to their posts for the Christmas holiday. Talking with them afterwards, I was struck by the fact that in that far-off continent, Muslims, Hindus, Buddhists, as well as Christians, pause from their labors on the 25th of December to celebrate the birthday of the Prince of Peace. There could be no more striking proof that Christmas is truly the universal holiday of men. It is the day when all of us dedicate our thoughts to others, when all are reminded that mercy and compassion are the enduring virtues, when all show by small deed and act that, verily, it is more blessed to give than to receive. It is the day when we remind ourselves that man can live in peace with his neighbors, and that it is the peacemakers who are the truly blessed.
Thank you to Associate Professor Elizabeth Koch, OAM, and members of the Elder Conservatorium Flute Quartet making their return appearance at Carols. And now I'd like to invite Professor Rob Saint to give us a special reading from one of the most loved children's book authors of all time, Dr. Seuss.
Thanks, Jenny. This is from How the Grinch Stole Christmas, and of course I'm delighted to read to all of you, but I'm really dedicating it to my little boy Tasman. It was 15:15 dawn, all the Who's still abed, all the Who's still a snooze when he packed up his sled. Packed it up with their presents, the ribbons, the wrappings, the tags and the tinsel, the trimmings, the trappings. 3,000 feet up the side of Mount Crumpet, he rode with his load to the tip-top to dump it. Pooh-pooh to the Who's, he was grinchishly humming. They're finding out now that no Christmas is coming. They're just waking up. I know just what they'll do. Their mouths will hang open for a minute or two. Then the Who's down in Whoville will all cry boo-hoo. He stared down at Whoville. The Grinch popped his eyes. Then he shook. What he saw was a shocking surprise. Every Who in Whoville, the tall and the small, was singing without any presents at all. He hadn't stopped Christmas from coming. It came. Somehow or other it came just the same. And the Grinch with his Grinch feet ice cold in the snow stood puzzling and puzzling. How could it be so? It came without ribbons. It came without tags. It came without packages, boxes or bags. And he puzzled 3 hours till his puzzler was sore. Then the Grinch thought of something he hadn't before. Maybe Christmas, he thought, doesn't come from a store. Maybe Christmas, perhaps, means a little bit more. And what happened then? Well, in Whoville they say that the Grinch's small heart grew 3 sizes that day. And the minute his heart didn't feel quite so tight, he whizzed with his load through the bright morning light. He brought back the toys and the food for the feast, and he himself, the Grinch, carved the roast beast. Welcome Christmas, bring your cheer. Cheer to all Who's far and near. Welcome Christmas while we stand heart to heart and hand in hand.
Thank you, Rob. And I'm sure your lovely little boy Tasman and your lovely daughter, who's here tonight with your dad, will be well looked after by Santa Claus when he visits next week. Now, would you please all stand for Good King Wenceslas?
Memories of Cyclone Tracy, Christmas Day, 1974, by Steve Williams. I was only a little over 10 years of age when I was told of a cyclone heading towards Darwin on Christmas Day 1974. I can clearly remember my father opening the louver windows to allow some of the wind to pass through the house. It became so intense that my father went to the back of the house in Jingley to view other houses to see how they were surviving. Well, they weren't there. They had been destroyed to a point of non-recognition. At that time, we decided to move out of the house at the eye of the cyclone and into the Toyota Land Cruiser. We positioned the vehicle against another heavy vehicle, bull bar to bull bar, and let the wind hit the truck and deflect over us. We were in the Toyota for about 6 hours. The next morning, there was total destruction.
Thank you to Dr. Jan Keatley, our head of the School of Education, for sharing that haunting recollection of Christmas Day in Darwin 40 years ago, and I know many of us remember that. Only 3 days ago, our nation was again gripped by terror of a different kind in Sydney, and our thoughts are very much with those affected by this tragedy on our doorstep. Tonight, we dedicate the next carol, Silent Night, to those who lost their lives or who were caught up in the siege while simply going about their daily business on Monday. Our thoughts are with them and their families, their colleagues, and their friends. Would you please stand? And thank you to the wonderful Elder Conservatorium Chorale for letting us hear that beautiful carol. Now, a quintessential Australian poem, Santa Claus in the Bush, by Banjo Patterson, read by our Executive Dean of the Faculty of Health Sciences, Professor Alistair Burt.
It chanced out back at the Christmas time, when the wheat was ripe and tall. A stranger rode to the farmer's gate, a sturdy man and a small. Ring doon, my little son Jack, and bid the stranger stay, and we'll hae a crack for Auld Lang Syne, for the morn is Christmas Day. Nay, no, said the dour good wife, but you should let him be. He's maybe only a drover chap, frae the land of the darling pea. Guid wife, he's never a drover chap, for their swags are neat and thin, and he's never a life assurance carl with a brick dust burnt in his skin. You can set him a chair to the table side and give him a bite to eat, an omelette made of a new-laid egg, or a tasty bit of meat. Sit down, my bonny wee man, to the best that the hoose can do, an omelette made of the emu egg, and a paddy melon stew. 'Tis well, said the bonny wee man. I've eaten the wide world's meat, and the food that is given with right good will is the sweetest food to eat. But the night draws on to the Christmas day, and I must rise and go, for I have a mighty way to ride to the land of the Eskimo. And it's there I must load my sledges up with the reindeers 4 in hand that go to the north, south, east and west to every Christian land. Then out with a laugh went the bonny wee man to his old horse grazing nigh, and away like a meteor flash they went, far off to the northern sky.
Thank you, Alistair. And yes, that rich Scottish accent is completely genuine. Since Carols on Campus started in 2010, Maestro Crossan has wanted to include an Australian carol, not just as a chorale feature, but also as a community carol. I'm sure many of you will recognise the melody in the next carol, but just to be certain, I'm going to ask Carl to come up on stage to conduct all of you in the hall as we sing Christmas Day. All yours.
Thank you, Jenny. Now, this university, as you know, is well known for its research as well as its teaching. And our research tells us that some of you might not know this. And so what we are going to do is sing through the first verse together. The chorale will lead, and those of you who know it will follow lustily, and those that you who don't know it yet will follow just a nanosecond behind. So we're going to just sing the first verse together. I told you about the research component. This is the teaching component. So if I could ask chorale to stand. Now, for this rehearsal, you can remain sitting, but when we do the performance, you can stand. Yes, not bad. Good. Now is the chance for the real version. So could I ask you please all to stand? Now, in that rehearsal, all I could hear was chorale. Could we make it so that all I can hear is you? Thank you. If in doubt, just watch me.
Thank you, Carl. Now, in keeping with the Australian theme, I wonder if we could have a show of hands of how many of you have been or will be slaving away over a hot stove or barbie in preparation for Christmas Day. I think our research says maybe about almost 50% there. That's interesting. Okay, well, let's see if this next reading from Mrs. Beaton's Box of Household Management, written in 1861, will give you some inspiration. And I think it's now over to Sue.
Thanks, Jenny. It was a much easier walk to the lectern than it was to my seat, so I'm glad I made it here okay. So, in December, the principal household duty lies in preparing the creature comforts of those who are near and dear to us, so as to meet old Christmas with a happy face, a contented mind, and a full larder, which is of course very important. And in stoning the plums, washing the currants, cutting the citron, beating the eggs and mixing the pudding, a housewife is not unworthily greeting the genial season of all good things. And so, a recipe for plum pudding sauce. Take 1 wine glass full of brandy, 2 ounces of very fresh butter, 1 glass of Madeira and pounded sugar to taste. Now, let it stand by the side of the fire until it is warm and the sugar and butter are dissolved. Then add some more brandy and Madeira. On Christmas Day, a sprig of holly is usually placed in the middle of the pudding, and yes, another wine glass full of brandy is poured around it, which at the moment of serving is lighted, and the pudding thus brought to the table encircled in flame. Thank you.
So thanks to Sue Henry, Director of Operations in the University's Engagement Branch. Now please all stand for Joy to the World. Thank you, Maestro Crossan. Thank you, choristers. That last piece was a Nigerian carol based on text from Handel's Messiah, For unto us a son is given. We are incredibly fortunate to have such extraordinary musical talent within the university, and it's always wonderful to share this talent with the community, particularly here in this lovely hall. We are sadly nearly at the end of our 2015 Carols on Campus program, and what a tremendous night. Every year we look forward to sharing Christmas together with the Adelaide community and singing in the festive season. I would like to leave you with the Christmas musings of the great Charles Dickens, who wrote in the Pickwick Papers, "Happy, happy Christmas, that can win us back to the delusions of our childish days, that can recall to the old man the pleasures of his youth, that can transport the sailor and the traveller thousands of miles away back to his own fireside and his quiet home." Thank you all for coming tonight, and to those watching the live stream. Thank you to our readers. Thank you, musicians, and Carl. Thank you, colleagues behind us and in the audience. And thank you, students. And on behalf of the University of Adelaide, we wish you a very Merry Christmas and a safe and wonderful New Year. And we hope to see you all again in 2015. Now, please all stand for the final carol, Hark the Herald Angels Sing, and if you've been saving your voice, here's the time to let it go.